"I'm a bike guy, not a car guy," said Richard Hammond, who once sold his motorcycles just to buy toilet paper. Now the Top Gear legend is sitting on one of the most insane two-wheel collections on the planet, including Norton, BMW, Ducati, and others worth hundreds of thousands. Before the fame and million-dollar stunts, Hammond started in radio stations barely making rent. Today, we're breaking down every single motorcycle in his garage, including his bedroom posters. Honda M TX50. For Richard Hammond, it all began with a Honda M TX50. It was legally a moped in the UK, which meant even 16-year-olds could ride it without a license. And that's exactly what Hammond did. For his 16th birthday, he and his parents split the cost to buy one. It became his first ever motorcycle, and the start of his lifelong obsession with two wheels. It was fairly beaten about, but it looked bigger than a 50cc bike, he said. It had no side stand, so I had to lean it against stuff all the time too. But despite everything, I loved that bike so much. BMW R90S. Richard Hammond owns a BMW R90S from the mid-1970s, and he once called it ugly and gawky. But that's exactly what makes it special. Back in 1976, it was one of the fastest bikes on the road, going up against the quick Japanese models of that time. It may not be the prettiest machine, but Hammond has a soft spot for it, because as a kid, he had a model of a police bike from the same era, and fell in love with its iconic boxer engine and those air-cooled twins that stick out. BMW RT Hammond calls his BMW RT "my truck." It's not flashy, not rare, and definitely not the kind of bike people crowd around. He himself says, "They're not cool. They don't impress people, but I love it." This is the bike he rides daily to and from London. It has got cruise control, a top box, and all the comfort he needs for long city rides. Hammond laughs about it, saying, "By contrast, this old truck is kind of the least collectible of everything here." BMW touring bike. This is a bike which even bikers don't like, but Hammond absolutely loves to ride it. He laughs, calling it "Wally-ish, bolt upright, big screen," and says it's not styled to be exciting by modern standards. But God, it worked. This bike is pure German engineering from the era when they showed the world how to make a proper touring bike. He found it through a friend of a friend, who was an older rider who was getting too old to handle it. Hammond says, "He was obliged to sell it, and I thought, well yeah, I'll take that on." It's 30 years old and has only done 4,500 miles in total, which is crazy. His goal with this one is to take it for a tour. He even had another one before that clocked 180,000 miles, which he calls phenomenal. Most riders wouldn't ever touch this model, but Hammond grins and says it proudly. "I love it." BMW R52. He's had this one for years, and trust me, he's never letting it go. He says, "Then we get really old, still with BMW. This is 1929. What makes it an absolute keeper is that it has the same boxer and the same flat twin engine layout that you'd find in a Porsche 911. The pistons move opposite each other, giving a completely different effect on the crank, and Hammond admits saying that, "Maybe that's why I love those." Compared to a British bike of the same time, like the 1929 Sunbeam, Hammond says that one was like operating a Victorian printing press whilst riding a motorcycle. But the BMW is just a motorbike. It's beautifully made, reliable, and even has shaft drive. He jokes, "One of these does mixture, one does ignition. I'll put them both in the middle and see if it'll play ball." Despite its age, this 96-year-old machine will just go on forever. Kawasaki ZXR 750. At 16, Richard Hammond and his friend used to ride to Mixiano's Kawasaki in Harrogate just to stare at the bike, Kawasaki ZXR 750. Back then, it was the dream. They'd stand there imagining what it would be like to own it one day. And today, Hammond actually does. This thing had those Hoover pipes. These air intakes pulled air straight into the carburetors to boost power. It also had dual headlamps that made it look like it had two eyes, giving it a look that no one could forget. By modern standards, Hammond admits, it's unbelievably crude. But for him, it's all about nostalgia. He even said that, "You look at a car or bike from your era, and it just sets the heart racing. This bike does that job for me." Suzuki GSX-R 1100. Richard Hammond was just a young rider on his little 125 when he first saw a Suzuki GSX-R 1100 at a petrol station, and in his words, went dazzled. This bike marked the end of the capacity race because during that time, everyone believed bigger meant better. Before mid-weight 600cc sports bikes even existed, Suzuki went all out with this 1100cc machine. The rule back then was simple: more cubes for more power. And this was as big as they got. It had double headlamps hidden behind one screen, carburetors to warm up on all 4 cylinders, and a look Hammond calls blunt, broad-shouldered, flat-tanked aggression. Norton race bike. It is an original Norton race bike that was actually raced back in the 1950s. Hammond even has pictures of it flying down the track in period, and he calls it a little rocket. Up front, it's got John Tickle parts, which are the proper vintage race gear from the golden era. Hammond admits it's not fast by modern standards, but that's not the point, as it was built for feeling, not numbers. It was rebuilt onto a featherbed frame instead of the original Norton one. That change gave it more stiffness and lightness, even back then. Riders knew what they were doing decades ago. Hammond says, "It feels like a thoroughbred." And you can see why. Brough Superior SS80. They call Brough Superior SS80, the Rolls-Royce of motorcycles. Lawrence of Arabia rode one. He was also killed on one, which is less good. This machine came from the 1920s and was guaranteed to do 80 miles per hour. For that time, it was shockingly fast. Brough wasn't building everything himself. He made the frames, while the engines came from either JAP or Matchless. George Brough's genius was in picking the very best parts from everywhere, the best forks, the best fittings, and combining them into one perfect bike. The SS80 was so expensive, it cost as much as a row of normal houses. People described them as incredible devices, and they really were. Royal Enfield Interceptor. Look at it. It's just pretty. That's literally what Richard Hammond said when talking about his Royal Enfield Interceptor. And honestly, he's right. It's just the essence of what a bike should be without plastic fairings or over-the-top styling. The Interceptor may look classic, but it's the new version of Royal Enfield's most famous motorcycle. Hammond and his team at the smallest cog restored it, and when the job was done, he just couldn't let it go. He decided to keep it. In his words, "It's just some bike that is two-wheel transport." Suzuki Katana. As a kid, Hammond had this bike on his wall, dreaming about it like every petrolhead of that era. I remember when the Katana first came out, the styling blew us all away. It looked like something straight out of the future. Hammond said, "If you're not into bikes since you were 5, you probably won't get it." This bike didn't do anything technically brilliant, but it didn't need to. Its design sold countless motorcycle magazines on its own, and that's exactly what made it iconic. Indian Big Chief. This is Richard Hammond's 1946 Indian Big Chief, but everything on it is in the wrong place. Back then, the throttle was on the left hand, the right hand controlled ignition timing, the right foot handled the brake, the left hand worked the gears, and the left foot managed the clutch. Hammond's friends tried it and ended up in screams of laughter and terror once they realized they'd eventually have to stop. He even once saw a guy riding the same bike in London traffic, still using those original controls. Hammond leaned out of his car and asked, "Have you left the controls original?" The guy smiled and said, "Yep." Hammond says he got a salute as the rider disappeared through the chaos. Ducati 916 SPS Fogarty Edition. Richard Hammond owns the Ducati 916 SPS Fogarty Edition, number 114 out of less than 200 ever made. It's basically the legendary 916, but angrier, faster, and built for pure racing. Hammond says, "It's just drizzled with extra anger because it's always cross." It's got a slightly larger engine, carbon fiber bits, and that iconic dry sump clutch that makes a sharp dagger sound when idle. This bike has no traction control, no safety tech, nothing between your wrist and the tree you might end up on. Hammond admits, it is terrifying. Carl Fogarty himself raced this model, which makes it even more iconic. And Hammond laughs, "Every time I pull up at traffic lights, someone hunkers down, ready to race. I just want a quiet ride." Triumph Trophy. Steve McQueen called it his desert sled. Richard Hammond's Triumph Trophy might look like its famous sibling, the Bonneville, but the trophy has a single carburetor, making it easier to maintain, run, and operate. That's exactly why McQueen preferred this one for his desert rides, instead of the slightly quicker but more complicated Bonneville. Hammond describes it perfectly. Just a gorgeous thing to ride. Riding a piece of history. Kawasaki KR1S. This one is literally sitting half finished in his workshop right now. The tank and panels are missing because he dropped them off for painting and never got around to picking them up. Hammond laughs and says, "This rather sorry-looking thing is a KR1S. It may not look impressive right now, but this 250 cubic centimeter two-stroke is pure insanity once it's alive. Below 7,000 RPM, you think it's broken. But when it hits the power band, the valves open, and the bike suddenly comes alive with a burst of power." He compares it to a 1990s Porsche 911 Turbo as, "One moment it feels quiet, and the next it has got all of the power." Even without its bodywork, Hammond clearly loves it. Ducati 900SS. Hammond once took his Ducati 900SS out for a quiet Sunday morning ride, and it broke down. Then he smiled and said, "It's Italian." That line alone sums up his love-hate relationship with this bike. Hammond calls it the origins of the 916 bikes, meaning this is where Ducati's superbike legacy really began. He even made a film about it. Despite its unpredictable nature, he's never let go of it. Seeley-Honda CB750. This bike is a perfect blend of a British-made Seeley frame and the Japanese Honda CB750. The Seeley part comes from Colin Seeley, a famous racer known for building some of the best racing frames in the business. Hammond says, "If I turn the fields under here, it should play ball and run. And when it does, the sound is unlike anything else." OK Supreme. The Spitfire pilot who owned this OK Supreme didn't survive the war, but his bike did. Richard Hammond still has letters from that pilot written back to his camp, and now, decades later, the same motorcycle sits in his collection. It's a race bike from the very early 1930s, powered by a JAP single-cylinder engine that was pure competition back in its day. Hammond calls it kind of mad to ride, because it feels more like a modern dirt bike than an antique racer. And of course, it's a proper British bike because it has a massive oil leak. If there's none coming out, there's none in. Custom Triumph build. His custom Triumph build is not even finished yet. It's an ongoing project that still sits in his workshop, waiting for its final touch. The tank was painted by Hammond himself. He actually said, "This you may be familiar with if you've watched my workshop show." These Triumphs are legends that go way back before he was even born in 1969. Hammond admits, "I didn't grow up with these bikes. They predate me, but they were still around. They were still on the road." Honda CBX-1000. "My leg still hurts." Those are Richard Hammond's own words about the first day he bought his Honda CBX-1000. He had just picked it up in London, pulled out onto the main road, stalled it, and the bike began to tip over. Instead of letting it fall, he locked his right leg out and somehow held it up. He jokes that it weighs 3.5 tons, but that moment left his leg aching for years. The CBX-1000 is a 6-cylinder machine. The engine is mounted sideways, so when you stand in front of it, it feels like a wall of engine coming right at you. Even this bike was a bedroom poster in his child room. So which bike would you want to see in Hammond's collection? Tell us in the comments below, and hit that like button and subscribe, because we're dropping exclusive celebrity garage tours every single week, and you don't want to miss who's next.